Hey everybody, this is Games Plus James and welcome back to our Unity 2D platformer tutorial series where we're taking a look at all the basics you need to go out and make your own fully fledged 2D platformer game. So today we're going to take a look at the controls we're using in the game. Previously we've coded in specific exact controls that we're using through our scripting to move the player around and to fire our ninja stars and to swing our sword. But that's not quite what we really want to be able to do in Unity. What we'd like to be able to do is to be able to change those controls within Unity without having to go and retype code every time. And also, we'd like to be able to support controllers plugged into your PC of any kind. And Unity makes that relatively simple to use. They have a certain amount of built-in default controls. So if you go to Edit up here, and then down to Project Settings, and then Input. And we just click on this little axes drop down here, and you can see there's a whole load of little variables here. And basically, if you open each one, you can kind of see what inputs they're taking in. So a horizontal is moving left to right, and what that does is it takes in the left and right arrows, and it also takes in A and D as left and right. If we jump down here, we see there's another horizontal. If we open that, we can see it's taking in joystick axis. So what that's doing is it's taking in on a controller, moving left and right, or with the D-pad button moving left and right, or with the left stick moving left and right. We've got fire 1, we've got moving vertical, we've got jumping up and down. We've got a various range of different controls that we can use that are assigned by default within Unity, and they're a very handy way of making things nice and simple and making things carry over for different use cases. You've also got our mouse X and mouse Y here, which it's not very useful in a 2D game like this. Well, I suppose if you want to move the camera around with the mouse, you can do it that way. Or if you're making like a first-person shooter game, for example, you would use mouse X and mouse Y to move left and right, and up and down. But yeah, those are basic inbuilt controls in Unity, and it's very handy because then all you have to do is just plug in your Xbox controller into your computer, and if you're using like the horizontal movement to control your player, it'll automatically be able to do that built into the system for you, which is very handy and cuts down a lot of time of you having to code your own stuff. Unfortunately, you can't like just automatically plug in like a PlayStation controller or something like that because of the way they're handled by PCs in general. Basically, all Unity does is it interacts with the default controller support within Windows or within Mac OS X or whatever it is. But it's very handy though all the same. So like personally, I use PlayStation controllers with my computer, but you have to use a whole separate thing to be able to make your computer think it's an Xbox controller basically. But it's still very, very handy because the majority of controllers that are used with a PC are Xbox controllers. So how are we going to be able to use those controls within our game? It's relatively simple, and it's just a matter of changing a few bits of code around and making things just a little bit easier. So we want to keep in mind all these little variables that we have over here. So we're opening our player controller, and then we immediately lost our input stuff. I'm going to lock this here so that they stay in place and so that we can see them there. And that way, when you lock the thing here, whatever you clicked on when you hit lock, if you click on other stuff, it won't change around. You won't lose having that open for you. So over here we go, and we'll go down to our player movement, which is we used A and D to move the player left and right. And as you can see, we had assigned move velocity based on the move speed, and that's fine. And it's quite a long little section of code here. So what we're actually going to do is just completely delete that because we're not going to use that at all anymore. What we're going to use is our horizontal axis to control whether it's moving left and right. And back here again, we have left and right makes move left and right, or A and D, or down here, we can use the controller to move them left and right, and everything will be perfect. So if we go pop it back into our script where we had our input stuff, what we're going to do instead of input.getKeyDown, keycode.a and all that, what we do is simply if. Oh no, we don't need an if. Sorry. Our move velocity is what we're using to decide how fast the player's moving, and that's been set Where is that being set? Oh yeah, if not back counts less than 0. Yeah, so the move velocity is being set there. So we need to determine what the move velocity is. So move velocity is equal to our move speed, which is the value that we've decided how fast the player should move, multiplied by input dot get axis. Oh, actually no. What we want to use is get axis raw, and I'll explain that in a second. Get axis raw horizontal. There we go. Okay. So now we can see we have input.getAxis raw and we had input.getAxis, which are two different variables that we can use. And basically what both of them do is take input from either A and D, left and right, or moving our controller to the left and right. And what getAxis raw does is it takes the exact position that the whatever input is being pressed at. It takes it exactly and it returns that. Whereas getAxis returns it moves along like a sliding scale, so it kind of goes slowly. It might go slowly from 0 to 1, which isn't quite what we want here. We want it to immediately, being a platformer, we want it to immediately detect when the player's moving and start moving straight away. So that's why we use input.getAxis raw horizontal, and we multiply that by the move speed, so we get our player to move a bit at the speed that we want. So now, instead of having that big long section that had like a couple of if statements and we were setting the move velocity in there, now we can just directly set the move velocity by the move speed. And here we don't need to reset the move velocity here either. We can just get rid of that, because when the input.getAxis raw is not detecting any movement, it'll automatically set it to 0 for us. So we're going to save that and convert it if we need to. Save it and we'll pop back into the game. And now we're going to hit play and make sure that our controls are responding just as well. We jump, see, there we go. We can control, we can move back and forward just fine, just exactly what we want. And another added benefit is the way we were controlling the character before with our logic. If you held down both buttons, it would go through the script and it would take the last one. So we had input.getKey for A and input.getKey for D, and it was finding through the code, it was going to D last, so therefore it would if both buttons were being pressed down, it would always go right. Whereas now, if we hold both buttons down like I am now, you get stuck exactly in the middle, and that's what should happen, because the player can't move both left and right. So it's a bit more sensible, a bit more good feeling. So now we need to adapt our other things that we've done in the game. So what else have we got? We've got jumping, and we've got firing, our ninja stars, and we've got our little sword slash. So jumping, again, is very simple. As you can see, if you look over here, we've got a jump button. So it's already assigned to space here. And if we look down here, see it's joystick button 3, and that's already like the A button. Yes, I think it's the A button on the Xbox controller. So now, instead of using our space input, we're going to use our jump here. So we find, here's where we have our jump code done. We've got keycode.space, input.getKey down. That's fine, we don't want to do that though. What we want to do is input.getButton. We want to use getButton instead of getKey, because getButton will use the input manager over here on the right to determine what buttons are being pressed. So getButton, and we're going to get out of here. GetButton, and this will be the jump one. And that's fine there now. Yep. And you always want to make sure you have these the exact same as the way they're written over here. So if that was a small j, it won't detect it over here. You have to make sure it's a capital J and it's spelled the exact same as R over here. And we'll do the exact same here. There we go. Get rid of that. So now we've got our jump working. And as usual, we save that and we test it straight away. Whenever you make a change, you always want to test it as soon as you can, because you don't want to go ahead and make 3 or 4 different changes and then you discover that the first thing you did is wrong, and therefore everything else is just going haywire and going crazy. So if we go back in here, we jump. There we go. Perfect. Our jump is working exactly as it should. It's detecting everything just fine. Although for some reason it's not. it is not jumping twice. See, there we go. A perfect example of why you should check these things out and try to understand why they're not working. So we go back in here, input that get button, jump. Huh, why isn't that working? It didn't change anything else. Strange. Let's go to our player. Maybe unlock this actually. If you unlock this, on our player we scroll down and we'll change this to debug mode so we can see the grounded variables and stuff like that. So grounded is true there. You jump. Oh, I know what I did wrong. Yes. Instead of input that get button, we should do input that get button down. So it's not working when it's held, it's only working as the button is pressed. And we do the same up here as well. Yes, that makes much more sense. Sorry about that. So much as the same as we had with get key down before and get key down, get button down is the moment that the button is pressed, and get button is when the button is held. So this time if we hit play, once it starts going, there we go, we got our double jump back. That's exactly what we want to happen. And we'll just delete that. And I'm actually going to delete this Ninja Star that keeps making a sound every single time we start as well. So now we've got our jump sorted out. What we need to do next is our